So welcome back to the channel once again, guys. So today we're going to be continuing with the tow bar build on the split screen camper. One thing I will be doing is making some brackets to strengthen up the side rails of the chassis. So we're going to be spraying that load, if you like. This will involve us cutting to shape a few sections of steel, drilling out some holes, and obviously welding them on. Now the other thing that we found out is that because we are altering the mounting point location on the tow bar, we have also got to alter the mounting point of the brackets that are welded into the back of the bumper. So we've got to cut them off. So we've got two plates that we're going to be attaching to the back of the van to increase the strength on the chassis area. That's a single one, and that's one for the offside. That needs drilling and clearancing for the bolts that we have already drilled in, and then that's the other side. Now, because the van had some issues in the past with the damage incurred when somebody rear-ended the van, then obviously we've got to make changes to the brackets as well. We've got a couple. So these are going to be the sandwich plates between the chassis and the mount for the tow bar. As you can see, I've mounted. It looks as though there's only 3 tacks on either side, so we'll break them 3 tacks, and hopefully this plate will then be removable. So that's our first piece removed. I'm going to clean these up on either side. Bit rusty on back, so we'll do something with that as well. Probably put some rust heater on it. But they will now, because they were for that section, they will now be our mountings for our plates that we're going to weld onto our bumpers. So we'll remove the other one, just going to be the same, and then we'll see what they're like on the brackets. So one of the things I have found is that originally it would have had a captive nut put on the bracket, a square one would have been tacked on, but either it's been seized up and somebody's had to break the bolt off, or the bolt snapped off, but there's no bolt nut on the back of this one. So what we're going to do is, first thing we're going to do is tack on another nut here. It's going to be 13mm, so that our bracket will fit and attach. So we'll weld a nut on that section there, and then we've got a positioning right for when we drill the plate. I'm mounting it. So we've got our nut there, ready to be a captive nut. Just going to tack this on, and then we've got 2 there to make it easy for when we access it. that is well and truly welded up. I'll clean that up properly before we actually put it on the van. But like I said, I'm probably going to get these blasted or cleaned up and painted before they're fitted anyway. Right, that step done, on to the next. So we've now managed to work out where the distance for this cut will be. So that's going to be the bumper mount, and that's going to be where it bolts, or rather welds, onto that tow bar bracket. So if my calculations are correct, we'll do this one first before we try the other side. So this is the bracket that I've just cut off. So that's going to lay in that section. I think I might need to adjust the angle of the cut slightly. Just got a small amount of gap there. Runs off a little bit, so maybe I have to taper that off so that that brings that upwards slightly. Not too far away actually. So we've cut that bracket down and drill them, and now we're just going to drill these two, cut that down as well. The holes are spaced out at 8 centimeters. We're going to analyse the holes. The bolt up the brackets are just a little bit tight, so maybe another mil on the holes. But we'll take these out and see where we go. Yeah, better. Just a little bit more wiggle up and make all the difference. You may find that when we come to pass the bumpers up, they don't actually line up correctly. We're doing his best to get everything really precise. As you know, we are dealing with a 50-year-old van, or 50 years plus, so things don't always line up correctly, and you've also got to think about the damage it might have occurred during its lifetime. So there's a little bit more movement there to help us line up our bolts. You can already see on that one it's out a little tiny bit. We'll try a bolt and see what it does. So we have got the bolts in. I'm going to be replacing these with some stainless ones anyway. So we've now put the bracket where it needs to be, got the angle. We're hoping that's going to be in the right angle for the bumper. Not sure at the moment whether or not it curves a bit. So I'm just going to put a couple of tacks on here, try the bumper in place before we weld it on. So at the moment we're just going to tack that in. Right, so we've got that into place. Hopefully now it's in the right place. Pull the bumper. So although it's a little bit messy, it's done the job. It's now rigid. So we'll move on to the next one. We'll do the same on that one. I won't bother filming that one, but we'll replicate what we've done here on the other one. So now we've got the sturdy end plate welded in, I'm just going to make a triangular piece there. Going to weld that in, and it shouldn't interfere with the bolts that we're going to be drilling, or the holes we're going to be drilling in that section to bolt the tow bar on. So little triangular plate made out of this. It's the same thickness of this, it's probably about 5mm. So that's my next step, just cutting that out. So we now get the triangular fillet piece in there. Don't think that's going to go anywhere. If I press on here, I think I'm only bending the metal, but I think that's more substantial and substantial enough to hold the bumper structurally. So the next thing, so we've now got the tow bar fitted using 19mm bolts. These are 12mm at the ends. Just marked up the centre, and as you can see we're going to have a problem with that exhaust, so we're going to change the exhaust for one that doesn't come out of the back. It's going to be a vintage speed one anyway. Got his mountings at either end for our bumper as well. Put a bit of triangulation in there on both sides to give that bracket a little bit more strength. Don't think it's going to move. So we've now got his brackets cleaned up, and we've just painted these with some primer. I've left the edge there because obviously we will be re-welding them. So so we finally got the tow bar in primer. This is going to be where the tow bar fits in. So that's the tow bar there. We've tailor-made this so that the tow bar fits in nice and tight. So that's the tow bar in its position. So we'll take this out, put it on the van, see what it looks like. So we've now finally got the tow bar fitted. The only thing left to do is basically make up some wires for the plug, for the 7-pin plug for the trailer. Obviously the bumper's going to be refurbed, got scratches, I've been doing some welding and stuff, so all in all it looks okay. Fits in well with it, it's not too long, we should be able to make good use of that once we're using the trailer. So we bought a pre-wired socket, comes with all the connectors, all the wires, everything that we'll need. The only thing I'll have to do is modify the bracket. So we've got wire connectors that I probably won't use. I'm not fond of these Scotch lock ones, but there's enough wire there. It says there's over a metre, so there's plenty of wire there to get it up to the harness of the van. So as you can see, we've got the mount on there now. So all I've used the original mount, cut it in half, bent it over, so you can see there we've tacked it around and we're welding it on. It's quite structural. It's close enough to the tow bar section so that when we come with the electrics from the trailer it will easily go on. Now as you can see there, I have mounted it sideways. This is one of the reasons I've done this, is because it needs to be able to clear the bumper. So the curve on the bumper comes to about there, and leaving it that way means that I can get the wiring in with that open without it interfering with the bumper. I've just got a couple of tie wraps on at the moment just to hold the wiring in place. So by simply taking out the 2 bolts that hold the bracket in, tow bar is removed. So hopefully what we'll see is we'll only be seeing the electrical connection and that part of the bracket underneath the bumper. So at least that section can be stored away somewhere safe until it's needed. So I hope you've enjoyed the build up of the tow bar for this split skin camper. Now I could have done what a lot of people do, and that is to buy the one already made. There's a couple of companies in the UK and also in the US that do the kits for the split screens. It saves you all the bother of building it up. All you're doing is buying a kit, but it is rather expensive. So it's one thing to watch for. Now, the one reason why we've bought the tow bar and built it up is because the bike that we've got at the back there, the Triumph, we'll be taking that on tour with us when we are camping. So our idea is split skin camper, that's going to be our base, and then we're using the bike to tour around and see some places in the world. So that's our plan for that. So if you enjoyed the videos, then we would appreciate a thumbs up. If you want to keep up with what's happening with the channel, then obviously subscribe if you wish. Remember, it doesn't cost you anything and it helps the progress of the channel. Leave me a comment or comments if you want to know what's going to off next. But we have got some plans in the pipeline. So that's about it for now, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.